It's impossible to be vegan or vegetarian in Hong Kong. Or is it? From ancient mock meats to tofu and mushrooms cooked in the most innovative ways, Hong Kong's plant-based options really surprised us. This trip gave us a chance to experience authentic Cantonese and Sichuan cuisine, all veganized and bursting with flavors. And in this international city, we also explored vegan food from all around the world.
So, how was the vegan food in this vibrant modern Asian city? Let's find out.
Our first meal in Hong Kong was at Root Vegan. We took the airport express straight to Central and then used the mid-level escalator to reach this fantastic vegan eatery. It took us a while to find the place, but it was worth it. Mostly the transit is fantastic and getting around is a breeze, but there are a couple of aspects you need to keep in mind because it can get confusing. More on the unique urban design later on. The khao soi came with these chicken drumsticks and fried wonton wrappers. The soup was really tasty and the drumsticks, which were made with tofu skin, were a great approximation of the taste and texture of chicken. This rice bowl came with some fried tofu skin and it was absolutely delicious and so unique. We haven't had anything like this before and it was just so damn good. The minced meat was made using omnipork and was really tasty as well. We then checked into our hotel and spent the evening walking around the Wan Chai area. By the way, you get the best exchange rates on Hennessy Street in Wan Chai. For dinner, we were off to Liza Veggies. Not to be confused with Liza Veggie, which we visited the next day. This place is on the second floor of a commercial building and has no signage at ground level. The Taipei fried noodles were great. The flavorings were simple, just the smokiness of the wok, salt, pepper, and maybe some MSG. The mock meats were tasty and convincing, and it came with a bunch of veggies. The eggplant with minced mock meat was served super hot and it was super tasty as well. The deep fried eggplant had a silken and creamy texture. The sauce was delicious and the mock meat mince added a textural contrast. Next day, we were off for a fascinating walking tour of the city. Hong Kong is an incredible city at a very difficult moment in its history, as it transitions from being autonomous to becoming a part of China by 2047. For lunch, we went to TreeHouse, a chic salad bar with creative wraps and salads. We placed our order through this terminal and we got a make your own wrap with beans, salsa, tofu, cheese and garlic sauce. It was really tasty. We also got a budget falafel salad bowl called Juniper, which came with a mushroom soup. The blanched greens were quite bland, and it was tough to toss the salad with the dressing because of the shape of the bowl. The falafels were great, but everything else about the bowl was just okay. We were then off to Victoria Peak. It's much cheaper to take the bus than the tram, so that's what we did. The views are really spectacular, especially as the sun sets and the city bursts into life. I don't think I've ever seen a skyline like this. For dinner, we were off to Liza Veggie in Wan Chai. The bus from Victoria Peak stops very close to the spot, so it made it very convenient. This place is actually not listed on Google Maps, but we had spotted it the previous evening because it's on the ground floor of the famous blue building in Wan Chai. We started with a complimentary broth, which was hot and welcoming. The curry rice bowl was simple and comforting. A hearty bowl full of carrots, potatoes, mock meat and greens in a simple curry. Thompson, a fellow patron, was great to talk to and he helped us request for some house chili and a couple of other Chinese dipping sauces. The dumpling soup noodle bowl was everything you want from a bowl like this. The noodles were of such an excellent quality, the dumplings were perfect, and again this was a very simple preparation. But when we added some of the smoky chili oil, it really added a new dimension to it. The family running the place was so friendly and this meal was the lowest priced meal we had in Hong Kong. This is a good time to talk prices because this aspect of the trip caught us off guard, so we hope this will help you with your expectations. At an average place, a main is about $100, a starter is about $50, and a tea is about $15. So a meal with 2 mains, a starter and 2 teas is about $280. At a moderately expensive place, this could go up to about $400 for two, and there are places where it can go to about $800 for two. At a simple spot like Lisa, where they start your meal with a complimentary soup, it was just $60 per main, which totaled to $120 for the two of us. Overall, it's the most expensive place in Asia we have been to in terms of food. An average meal at Singapore was about $180, about $150 for KL, and about $120 for Bali. Another interesting dynamic is that lunch is always cheaper than dinner. The same tea at the same place could cost 25% more for dinner, and most places have a great set menu or deal for lunch. The next day, we were off to Mayse Pizzeria for lunch. It was pouring down and we got quite wet en route to Mayse in Simsachui. But it was worth it. The rocket salad was a great start to the meal. The croutons were seasoned, the oranges, rockets, and walnuts are all bold ingredients and made for a fun and tasty salad. The tom yum pizza was delicious. The crust was a bit tough, but everything else was super. The sauce, the cheese, the tempeh, lemongrass, and chili. This is definitely not authentic pizza, but I think this is how most Asians like pizza. It's just quite bland and boring for us otherwise. Apologies to our Italian friends who might be watching. These fritters were one of the best and most unique that we've ever had. The fritters had a combination of onions, red cabbage, and cheese. Each ingredient added so much to the fritter and it was perfectly fried and held together. The banana bread was more like a bread than a cake, and it was served with warm bananas in a sauce. The sauce was quite unusual, but the warm bananas in the bread were nice. The manager Kiran was great to talk to, and the staff was so friendly and they made us some fresh and delicious food on a rainy day. Next, we went to the Nan Lian Garden, where we walked around the garden and the nunnery. Our next stop was the Avenue of Stars at the TST Promenade. The light show was at 8 pm, so we waited at the Starbucks with a frappuccino. The light show was quite underwhelming. There were a few lasers on top of the building, but the base view itself was so magnificent that a few lasers barely made any difference.
The show was so lame.
For dinner, we were off to Veggie Kingdom. This was a fantastic meal. We started with the jasmine tea. At most places, the tea is mandatory, in the sense that it is included as an additional cover charge. This was fine for us because Vidhi and I love tea, and the quality of tea at most places was excellent. The smashed cucumber salad was so good. Everything was in balance and it was such a lovely salad. Next up were the braised noodles with barbecue pork. The noodles were nice, but the char siu style mock meat was exquisite. Vidhi reckons it's some of the best mock meat she's ever had. And this Sichuan style stir fry was my favorite dish of the entire trip. I felt like I finally experienced the Sichuan flavor. In India, we have an Indo-Chinese cuisine and it is very different to what this was. The tongue-numbing Sichuan peppercorns, the bits of salty fermented beans, along with the perfectly fried tofu, mushrooms and peppers. We really loved this meal at Veggie Kingdom and decided that we needed to come back again. Next day, we were off to Tung Fong for lunch, which is a vegan Buddhist establishment that's more than 100 years old. The dim sum was not bad. The spring rolls were perfectly fried, but the filling was a bit too starchy. We then got some of the char siu style barbecue pork, but this was nowhere near the flavor or texture profile from the same thing from Veggie Kingdom. The dim sum and mock meats are reasonably priced, but they are not made to order, which I feel makes a big difference. The fried rice was made to order and it was excellent. So simple and so exquisite. A simple Chinese fried rice really punches above the weight of its simple ingredients. We also got a braised tofu with monkey head mushroom. Some mushrooms, at their best, have the potential to be just as good or better than most meats. The sauce was nice, but it lacked the intensity we were craving. This meal was a bit hit and miss, but maybe that's because our expectations were a bit too high. In the evening, we were off to the Temple Street night market. We got some jhol momos from this Nepali joint and it was so damn good. The jhol was so tasty. The momo filling was great too. And overall, this was just a reminder of how punchy and explosive Indian food is. And when it's paired with the delicate dumplings, it's just amazing, isn't it? We also got this mango sticky rice ice cream from 7-Eleven, which is accidentally vegan and really tasty. For dinner, we went to Sangeeta for an Indian meal, but there was a huge line, so we went to Woodlands, where the line was slightly shorter. After about an hour of waiting, we were seated and hangry. We were relieved to see a dedicated vegan menu, which is rare at Indian joints, and which had a whole bunch of options, which made ordering confusing because we wanted everything. We had to get an idli vada and every element was great. Next, we got a mushroom Mysore masala dosa. Dosa was awesome. The Mysore chutney lining the dosa was awesome. And the mushroom sabzi was awesome too. And because we were craving both South and North Indian food, we got a bhindi masala, dal fry tadka and some chapatis. Restaurant dal fry is always so good. The bhindi masala was delicious too, and this place seems like they have a lot of experience veganizing these curries. Because this gravy did not seem like it was cooked by just omitting the non-vegan stuff. It had depth and flavor. This was a massive meal and we licked our plates clean. We started the video by mentioning how good the public transport is in Hong Kong. And it is. You are always close to a bus stop or a metro station, and the buses and trains are very frequent. Another fascinating aspect is this mid-level existence as a pedestrian. We lived in Wan Chai, and the walk from our hotel to the metro station was almost exclusively on these raised and shaded walkways. They are fantastic on hot days or rainy days, and it's great to be able to walk quickly and comfortably to your destination. The only confusing part doesn't apply to us, but applies to the wayfinding apps like Google Maps. They get super confused whether we are here or down there. So always keep an eye on the instructions when you are exiting the metro stations. D1 means the first level, so you should make sure you exit using D1 and not D or D2. This part of Central can get especially confusing for the app, but after a couple of days we got used to it. Overall, Hong Kong might be one of the best cities in the world for getting around by public transport. On our final day in Hong Kong, we decided to head back to Veggie Kingdom for a dim sum lunch. Dim sum is available for lunch only, and everything on the menu looked and sounded so good. This savory pastry with a samosa filling was superb. The pastry was flaky and perfect, and it's rare to find something like this on a vegan menu. So we really enjoyed it. We had loved the char siu last time, so we got a bao with the same filling. The bao was great and so was the mock meat, but the overall flavor profile was a bit too sweet and unbalanced for us. The steamed mushroom dumplings with truffle oil were next, and they were fantastic. We were done with baked and steamed, so up next was deep fried, and these delicate turnip shells were exquisite. The filling was similar to a turnip cake, but it was then wrapped and then fried to its final exquisite form. This tasted fantastic with the chili oil. And for our final small plate, we got this Tung Fong with mushroom filling. The friendly manager poured over the sauce, and although this was similar to the dumplings, they were still super tasty. And to finish things off, we got these spicy dan dan noodles. We were way too full by this point, but we managed to finish it because we knew we had a long day ahead of us. Unlike many other spots, this place makes the dim sum to order, so it's hot and fresh. The manager was great to talk to, and it was lovely to meet someone from Mumbai, our hometown. We'd recommend making a reservation because this place can get packed out. We had to wait quite a while for our table, but it was worth it. For dinner, we were back to Mayse, another one of our favorites. This panini was so cheesy. And it was simple and delicious. Cheese and pesto and tomatoes and walnuts, a classic combination, and we loved it. The truffle sauce mushroom pasta was fantastic as well. It was simple, but the ingredients felt very high quality and we really enjoyed this earthy pasta. And finally, we had to get some more of those magical fritters. and they were perfect in every way once more. An indulgent and satisfying meal that kept us full through our overnight flight back home to Bali. Overall, we enjoyed our stay in this vibrant city. And like most other major cities in the world, we got to try out a lot of food from all over the world and also some excellent Cantonese and Sichuan food. People generally assume that Chinese food is exclusively non-vegetarian, but there are plenty of vegetarian spots here because of the local Buddhist population and because there are a lot of international residents with an increased demand for healthy food.
So, if you are planning a trip to Hong Kong, it's time to get really excited.